Hi YouTube, this is my journal entry for 14th of July 2017, June's Friday, last week. I ran out of tramadol yesterday. It was past the 48 hours they stipulate you leave before collecting your prescription, but it completely slipped my mind, even though in the morning I had set the intention to go and pick it up. Weirdly, I remembered it about 6:30, which is the time the surgery closes. This is a good example of mind manipulation. I very often run out of medication. For ages I couldn't understand why. No matter how hard I tried to get my prescription order in on time and to go round and pick it up on time, once every month, because that's all they will give me enough for, I end up short of something. And this is an excellent opportunity then for the controllers to attack me when I haven't got anything to counter the attacks. So I'm quite sure now these memory lapses aren't just a coincidence. These memory lapses have been with me since childhood and were a source of constant criticism from my parents, which seems very cruel to me now, especially as I now realise this is something that was being done to me and which I had no power to stop. Something I was forever doing at school was leaving my PE kit on the school bus. Eventually my mum refused to buy a new one and got a second-hand one from the school instead. It was horrible. It wasn't even a proper skirt, just something someone had run up on a sewing machine. Oddly, I never lost this one. I had no idea why I was so forgetful. Later I put it down to autism or attention deficit. But the controllers are able to manipulate memories, erasing them, or adding new ones, or preventing memory creation. I wonder sometimes if autism in some cases has been artificially created in someone. Seems I was probably chosen at birth for this harassment, maybe because I was autistic, or I was given autism to disable me and prevent me achieving later in life. The last video I uploaded has only had 6 views so far, if you can believe YouTube. I wish I could verify these figures, but as people hardly ever leave a comment and don't press the like button, this would be a difficult task. I have had one genuine comment from another TI in Canada, a trans woman, which I replied to. I've been watching the videos she posted on her channel, Gang Stalking Victim. She was saying she thinks she's been a target since childhood, and she talked about the bullying she experienced at school, and how she thinks this was part of her harassment. Of course, when you're a child, it's very hard to protect yourself, especially if everyone around you is also involved in your harassment. That parents would do this to their own child is mind-boggling and completely incomprehensible to me. I wonder if the controllers have technology or a method for identifying when someone is born if they have sociopathic tendencies like their own, or if a person is from the light and of higher vibrations, and who are but a potential threat to their agendas and plans for this planet. At the time when I was at school, bullying was not treated as a serious issue. Well, not at my school anyway. It just seemed to be something people expected, and the onus was on the victim to stand up to it. Even though others witnessed the bullying I experienced, including teachers and friends, they remained silent. It seems strange to me now that no one ever mentioned it, or offered advice or moral support. Except for one girl, my babysitter, called Franny. But then that would involve admitting it was happening and that it was wrong, and no one had the courage to speak out. I was an easy target for these bullies, being very small and being autistic. In the first year, every morning as I walked to my tutor room, which for that year was at the top of a flight of stairs, the children who were lined up along the staircase, waiting for their tutors to arrive, would jeer and stick their legs out to try and trip me up. I would usually be with a friend, but they would pretend not to see it happening. On another occasion, I was sitting on a step with a friend during break. Her name was Lorna. 3 kids from a higher year came over. I didn't know them, I'd never seen them before, and I had no idea how they knew me. I can't remember what they were saying, but they were being sarcastic and clearly weren't friendly. Lorna immediately got up to make a run for it. I was shocked and asked her to stay with me, which she did, momentarily, for about half a minute before disappearing. We had a babysitter at that time who was also at the same school, and she lived down the road from us. She was in a higher year than these people apparently, and she told me she'd spoken to them and they wouldn't bother me again. I was surprised because I didn't even know who they were, so how Franny, my babysitter, knew, I didn't understand. I remember another time a girl coming up to me and asking me if I was a feminist. I didn't know what a feminist was. She didn't say it in a mean way, but I think even then I already saw other people as having alternative and probably not very nice motives for what they were saying to me. And I looked at her crossly and said no. I didn't know her. She looked about my age, so she was either in a lower set or the year below me. She said, "I didn't mean it like that, I just wanted to know." I wish I'd been nice to her, but the bullying at home, as well as at school, made me very defensive. Also, the word feminist sounded to me like it might be a bad word. My mother was very anti-modern women, and she always drummed into me as a child that my only role as a woman was to marry and have children. Although on one level I rejected this, I still had the idea that talking about women's issues was a bad thing, and although I didn't know what the feminism was, it sounded like something to do with new ideas about women, and something I should be wary of if I didn't want to end up being attacked by someone. Looking back now, and knowing what I do about the tactics of gang stalking, or organised harassment, I can see that these people, who I'd never spoken to in my life, but who seemed to know plenty about me, proves to me that, even back then, the controllers were at work, gossiping, spreading lies and manipulating people to treat me a certain way, to make my life difficult and as unhappy as possible. Back then it seems they also had two different approaches, one aimed at the sociopathic types, who knew the intention was to harm me, and the other approach aimed at the nice people, who they somehow convinced their intentions were good, and that talking about someone constantly behind their back and secretly was a good thing. I'm talking about these incidents because I think the bullying of children at school is also, in some cases at least, part of the controllers' harassment programmes. It seems children quite often commit suicide because of bullying at school. This is basically an assassination programme, and these young people are being targeted because they have been identified as having traits or abilities that could be a threat to the status quo in the future. And who knows how involved schools are in this programme, what their role might be in identifying potential targets, all of which highlights what a dangerous place schools are for young children. Not only are their heads being pumped with useless, misleading and sometimes false information, not only are they being brainwashed into believing that the system which is oppressing society and causing all the wars and social ills is actually a good thing, but children who are identified as threats to these systems of control, or for simply having morals, are being murdered. When I went to Falmouth College of Arts, there was a girl on my course called Chloe. She was a very girly girl, sweet, pretty and nice. Well, that's how she came across. Then one of her friends told me at a party that Chloe had got drunk and told everyone a story about her and her school friends having bullied a fellow pupil to the point that this girl committed suicide. Chloe's friend was clearly shocked that Chloe had been a bully, and shocked because she had told the story thinking it was funny and would make people laugh, so clearly she didn't think she'd done anything wrong. She seemed to be of the opinion that if the girl couldn't defend herself, then she was fair game, and that she was responsible for her death. I think people were all the more shocked because Chloe came across as so sweet and innocent, yet underneath that exterior was a selfish, callous and downright dangerous person. Maybe there was someone influencing Chloe and her friends, filling their heads with sociopathic insanities and egging them on. This morning the perps had been attacking Ginger. I found 3 pools of vomit when I got up, and on the sofa was a very sloppy poo. I put him on the bed with me, and for once he was happy to lie next to me. I realised a while ago that if his stomach is gurgling a lot, if I can cover his stomach with my hands, it stops. Like the vomiting, I can stop it if I shield him with my body. I think his symptoms must be similar to the IBS I used to have. This was something the controllers were doing to me, because there were things I could shield myself with and the pains would stop. Thankfully, after changing my diet and healing my gut, they seemed less able to attack me there. Whenever Ginger starts eating well, the perps attack him and he goes off his food again and he starts to lose weight. I haven't mentioned the fleas for a while. He still has them. If I go out, or sometimes when I get up in the morning, there will be lots of them. But recently I've noticed this isn't always the case, and generally I don't find as many on him. Usually it's less than 10, maybe 5 or 6. So I seem to be having less deposits of these fleas. Sky still hasn't connected my broadband. The last text message I had from them said they would contact me on the 18th. I haven't seen any activity outside my flat since I saw the 2 men with the bleeping machine, so I don't know what they are supposed to be doing to connect me. Probably they will tell me they're going to have to dig up the pavement. On Wednesday I went into town to buy a pay-as-you-go dongle. The guy in Vodafone has suggested pay-as-you-go to me, but I didn't want to go back there, so I went to the library with the intention of buying one online. But an ad came up for a SIM card at Argos. We have an Argos in Lichfield, so that's where I went. And so I've been able to upload my 5th video of these journal entries on YouTube. I am having some problems with my internet though. When I first put the SIM card in the 3 dongle I have, Ginger wants to move some. You want to sit there? When I first put the SIM card in my dongle, my 3 software tried to open a window, but I got lots of script error messages. Eventually I was able to open my normal browser. It keeps crashing though. The page will go black and I will have to close the browser and open it again. In one of the videos that I watched by the TI in Canada, she mentioned a book by C.S. Lewis called The Silver Chair, which she said is about bullying in schools. It sounded interesting, so I've ordered a copy. I think The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe is a metaphor for the struggle between the light and darkness that is going on Earth at the moment. Lions represent the sun, and the sun represents the Christ light. From Wikipedia, the 2 main characters are at a boarding school called Experiment House. The TI, Fiona, said the book was about bullying, so I'm hoping it might say something about how schools are being used by the darkness to control and manipulate the population. Actually, this reminds me of a couple of short stories that were written by Agatha Christie. These stories seem to be saying something about how the public are manipulated by secret groups. The stories are about a company that offers to change people's lives and to make them happy. They put adverts in the personal ads in newspapers. The adverts don't say how they are going to make people happy. After an initial interview, the client is assessed and profiled, and then the company go about constructing fake situations with the help of actors, gigolos, or just innocent people they involve somehow. The clients then believe they are having a love affair or an adventure or both. The idea being, I suppose, that people are always looking for love, and that we believe romantic love can make us happy. In fact, this is what the mass media tells us, and from a young age we are fed fairy stories about happy forever after love affairs, and we grow up believing this is what our goal in life should be. Sadly, this keeps most of us diverted from what our actual life purpose is, and keeps us searching for love outside of ourselves. And of course, the more personal problems and trauma a person is dealing with, the less capable they are of discovering and fighting those dark forces within society that are seeking to destroy them. In one story, they set up a woman with a gigolo. Her husband is infatuated with his secretary, and his wife is aware that he is thinking about having an affair. But of course the company is only going to lend her this gigolo for a limited amount of time. and eventually the company arranges for the two couples to meet at a dance. The woman is unaware that this is going on, and she thinks this is all a coincidence. The husband is now jealous of this younger man and starts making a fool of himself of his secretary, who's just using him for money. In the second story, the company matches a man with an innocent member of the public and sends them on a fake treasure hunt and set up a fake adversary who is also after the treasure for them to escape from. What struck me about these stories is the similarity with how the controllers try to control and manipulate my life. One of their favourite things being to introduce me to potential partners. What is spooky about these stories by Agatha Christie is that there is no criticism of what these people do, conning people out of money and convincing them they are having genuine experiences. In fact, the underlying message seems to be that their simple-minded clients need these people to orchestrate the events in their lives, and these simple people can and should be kept happy by creating a make-believe world for them, which begins to sound like a matrix, an unreal reality. There is no acknowledgement of free will or the right of people to decide for themselves. Who wouldn't be angry if they found out someone was controlling and orchestrating the events in their life? It is morally wrong. These stories made me look at Agatha Christie in a different way, and I wondered if she might have been part of some secret group, if she might have been under the influence of the controllers, which is a sad thought, as I'm a big fan of Miss Marple and Poirot. The real purpose behind manipulating the events in people's lives is not to help, but to control. It is a psychopathic need to control others, not the need of others to be controlled, that drives the actions of people like those at the company in Agatha Christie's story. To try to exercise control over anyone is always wrong, whatever the intentions the controller pretends to have, because you are taking away the individual's chance to grow and learn. We are here to learn how to create our own lives, and you can't do that if there is someone trying to direct and control your life for you. Also, you are never going to discover what the divine purpose of your life was anyway. The controllers don't want you to become an enlightened being capable of thinking for yourself, so they try to train you to give your power away and to prevent you from creating situations that will lead to your enlightenment. I think I slipped up a few times there, but yeah, sometimes when I'm writing I don't have very good working memory and I forget what I've written in the previous paragraphs, so a couple of times, yeah, I was trying not to repeat things. This is the diary entry for the 14th of April 2014, so that's from 3 years ago. So if you've been watching the other videos, then this is the day after the last one I read out for 2014. The last couple of days have been nice, with some sunshine between the clouds. Nice enough to sit outside with a blanket and a hot water bottle anyway. Ed, he's my brother, met Dad's girlfriend Julie yesterday. He doesn't like her much. He says she's very argumentative. I remember her telling Dad that people had told her before that she has a temper. She also has what I would call a queen complex. She doesn't like to exert herself. She drinks, eats lots of chocolate and sleeps till lunchtime and expects others to wait on her. She likes animals, but apart from that we don't seem to have much in common, and there certainly isn't any bond there. My dad has been trying to use Ed against me, to frighten me with him by telling me that I couldn't sleep in his bed while he was away, or Ed would be cross. I am in the box room sleeping on the floor. Ed has a large room and a double bed, so you think that while Ed was away at uni, I would have been allowed to use his bed, but no, my dad made a big deal out of the fact that I couldn't sleep in Ed's bed because he doesn't want me to, which according to Ed was rubbish. My dad is very strange. He's a chauvinist at heart and constantly trying to impress on me that men have greater rights than women, but at the same time he gets into relationships with women, my mother included, who boss him about and tell him what to do. And yet I am reviled more for saying men and women are equal than the women who claim men are the head of the household while trying to control them. It seems as long as you say you believe something, it doesn't matter how you actually behave. This seems to be because most people have a natural tendency to believe what people say about themselves, whereas working out what a person really thinks from their actions requires effort and a certain amount of knowledge about human nature and psychology. My dad managed to drive a wedge between me and my other brother Christopher, probably by filling his head with a load of crap and telling him lies about me, and it seems he has also been trying to do the same with Ed. Really, my dad is quite devious and manipulative. Julie, though, seems to have quite modern views on women, so maybe my dad can learn that from her. I've been reading a lot about archangels recently. Archangel Michael is the archangel of protection, and you can call on him if you are in physical danger or afraid for any reason. Archangel Raphael is the archangel of healing, and can be called on to help give healing to yourself or to another. I always feel slightly awkward calling on an archangel. They have the power to be in many places at once, so it's not a problem that lots of people may be calling on them. I think I have this idea that I'm not important enough or worthy enough to call on an archangel. I know this because when I feel my reluctance, when I concentrate on it, I have a feeling of sadness and smallness. Footnote. It's interesting that I wrote this just after the story of my dad telling me I couldn't sleep in Ed's bed. This story is a good example of how my family had treated me my entire life. I was constantly being made to feel insignificant and not worthy of the same treatment as my brothers and sisters, so no wonder I grew up feeling I was some kind of second-class citizen. And sad to say, they still play these same games. I'm glad to say I no longer had this reluctance of calling on archangels. In fact, I'd forgotten I ever felt this way, until I reread this diary entry, which I hope means I've changed and grown in the intervening years. I think my sisters got by pretending they went along with these traditional notions about men and women. Even now they still do it. I've seen them sucking up to Dad, talking about marriage or partnerships in the same terms, referring to pink household jobs for women and the blue jobs for men. Liz is very good at playing the ditzy blonde, and constantly refers to having blonde moments. What men don't see is that this is either conscious fakery, or the woman is deeply insecure and keeps people around her by appearing to need them. Liz, though, is much like our mother and very bossy. As a child, my mother called her bossy boots. Funnily, she never saw that my sister was very like herself. I've seen her call her partner, this is Liz, on her way back from work and tell him to clean the inside of his car before she gets home. My sister, like my mother, has a hot temper, and Richard seems to have learnt to go along with what she wants, but she definitely likes to wear the trousers. But as long as you profess to go along with a certain belief system, people don't seem inclined to look beneath the surface. I, on the other hand, always felt the need to let people know my real views, in the hope this would correct their own, or give them the confidence to state their real opinions. I've always had this dedication to the truth, which could be an autistic trait. People on the spectrum hate deception, and lying isn't something that they have any aptitude for, or inclination, though as you get older, and you realise that everyone around you lies, you begin to try it yourself, but you lack the social skills to do it convincingly, unless you are just answering a simple yes or no question. Footnote. I think sociopaths see being honest as putting a person at a disadvantage. It seems to be their most prized ability, something they are better at than the average person, which is probably why they use it as a measure of intelligence and why they put so much energy into it. They are completely held under the sway of their egos, but don't even realise it. They can manipulate others by using their ego against them, with flattery and creating competition between their minions, to progress further up the hierarchies they have created, to acquire status above others. So they do understand the ego, but don't seem able to recognise their weakness in this area. Maybe they have convinced themselves they have mastered the ego by being able to deceive these other people. Back to the journal. I think it's my dedication to the truth that led me on my spiritual quest. At times it was a means of escape, to leave this world of conflict and hatred behind, and to enjoy the visions and descriptions people are given of the afterlife. Knowing there is something better waiting for us at the end of this life makes it more bearable. But at the same time, this searching taught me that there was a reason for coming into this world, and that we choose to experience these challenges in order to grow and to be able to give and receive more love. Nowadays, I don't feel that same need to make my opinions known and to correct others. I can accept that people are at different stages in their evolution. I don't tend to discuss my opinions unless I feel people are interested, except of course on occasions, with birds, when I felt this is my only means of defence, to tell them I wasn't deceived and I knew what they were up to. Never has this truth-telling resulted in a perk changing their behaviour. Although I have received several times now impressions or psychic messages from people who have been involved in my harassment and who are no longer, who have stopped because they finally began listening to their conscience. Getting to know yourself while at the same time finding a way to be in society is every teenager's nightmare. The reason teenagers have such a hard time is because they are trying to conform and be accepted into an insane world. And it is our families that create the most problems for us. Social exclusion would be much easier to handle if we had supportive families. And that's the end of my diary entry for the 14th of April 2014. And I'll see you next time.